Hey gorgeous loves out there, and welcome. In today's video, we're going to do a little swatch party with the new Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 5 I Am a palette. It's an all shimmer palette, so I want to swatch them on camera with you guys. I want to create a look with the palette as well as give you some comparisons and info. But before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bri, and I am just a crazy lover of all things beauty, and I like to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content. I like to do a lot on indie makeup, so if that is what you're into, then please consider hitting that subscribe button and joining this little family. But with that being said, let's get into this video. I'm gonna get right into the info about this palette so we can hurry up and get into the swatches. But I was so excited when I saw that they were coming out with this palette because I really love the Lightwork Volume 4 palette from last year. So when I saw that they were coming out with the Lightwork Volume 5, I was like, I have to have it. This is a all shimmer, shifty, chromatic, metallic palette, but this right here goes for $125. This is their holiday launch. But let me show you guys up close the packaging. I really like this. It's a lot more elevated. It looks a little bit more expensive than the one from last year. It has the name and everything on this little metal plate and then cardboard packaging, but I love the swirls. And here is the back of it. It just has the ingredient and info. And then inside there's a big mirror, and on the mirror it says I am. And then here are the shades. So beautiful and so sparkly. I can't wait to put my fingers in them. But it says this has 18 shades in it. They are good for the eye or face. The palette contains 7 brilliant finishes and easy to use color shifting combinations. And the different finishes is Heavenly Halos, Fusion Flakes, Silk Press Shifters, Whipped Powder Shifters, Molten Metals, Suede Shimmers, and Cushion Chromes, which I couldn't find anywhere on the site a description for the finishes. So I'm not sure what that means, but we're gonna find out together as we swatch. There was also a little insert that came with the palette that tells you what finish is each shade. The actual shade names are printed on the palette, so I'm happy for that. But in case you wanted to keep this and know what each one, like what finish they are, there's also categories on here. So it says soft energy for this row, bold energy for this row, and grounding energy for this row. I'm assuming soft means like they're more toppers, maybe more sheer, maybe these are more intense and pigmented. And I'm not sure about what grounding exactly means. I wish there was like more info about like the categories and the finishes. So that is all the info for this palette. Now we're gonna get into the swatches, then get into a look, and then at the end I'll do the comparisons as well as give you my like final first impressions. I will leave timestamps below if you want to skip around and go to certain parts, just in case you're here for just a certain thing. So I'm gonna start off with the first row that's called Soft Energy. And this is the shade Resilient. We have the shade called Radiant. I'm trying to really dig into these so I can give you some good swatches. And then this is called Centered. Let me show you guys how it looks on my finger, so you can kind of see. Maybe you can pick up the shifts a little more. So here's Resilient, which is a Heavenly Halo. It glides right on. This definitely looks like more of a sparkly topper. It doesn't have a pigmented base. And then we have the shade called Radiant, which this one is like a gold to pink to green shifty topper shade. And then Center, which is one of the chrome flakes. You can see the flakes coming right off. It's super foiled. And this one has an interesting shift going on to it. I can see like silver, pink, green, orange, like there's a lot going on with this shade. Now let's get into the last two shades. In the row we have Protected and Evolving. Here's how they look on the finger. Ooh, very pretty. Okay, so Protected is considered a Heavenly Halo as well. So you can see like that shift there, like some fuchsia, some blue going on. And then the shade called Evolving, which is a green. Ooh, oh, look how sparkly that is. This is also a Heavenly Halo, and this one is like green and gold to it. So now let's get into the middle row with the split pans. So this is the bold energy category, and each pan is a certain formula. So in here, this has silk press shifters in them. We have the shade called Strong and the shade called Brave. They don't feel exactly the same in terms of the texture, but here's how they look on the finger. Oh my God, look at that blue one. It's so intense. And now let's swatch them. So here is, oh my God, look at that strong shade. It is so bright and intense. And then here is the Brave shade. Ooh, look at that intensity as well. It's so bright. This one is like green to like purple, maybe pink. I don't know if you guys can see it, but in this mirror I'm looking at to my side, I can really see the shifts. Then we have these two shades right here, which these are considered whipped powder shifters. Like, look at those. Wow. They are very pigmented though. So there's Fierce. Ooh, oh, this is like a freaking intense red with like green and gold and orange. This reminds me of the shade called Kiln from Cleona. And then here is the Fearless shade. Ooh, that is pretty. Let me get a little bit more though. It's definitely, you know, like on the lighter side, but this one also has some like orange and yellow, some green going through it too. And then we're going into Loved and Healed. I like the names of this. It's so cute. These are considered silk press shifters, like the first pan. So here's how they look on my finger. And here is the shade called Love. Ooh, this has a lot of pink going on to it, but in the pan it looks a little bit more like a taupe, maybe even like a rose gold. But ooh, that is pretty. And then here is the Healed shade, which is a beautiful bright purple. I'm not sure what the shift is. Is it a bronze shift? Ooh, look at that. That's a really pretty purple. I love that. I don't know if I have anything exactly in that kind of shade of purple. Like, oh yeah, see, there's some like pink and like magenta going on with that one. So the last two are called Inspiring and Abundant, and these are considered whipped powder shifters. So here's how they look on the finger. Gosh, this green one, oh, it's calling my name. So here is Inspiring, which this one looks like it's a silvery blue, or like a gunmetal bluey silver. Ooh, that's pretty. I can't tell if there's a shift to it. I'm sure there is. And then here is the Abundant shade. Oh, a green gets me every time. This definitely has like blue, like a blue shift to it. So now let's get into the last row, which is the Grounding energy, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. But we have Invincible. Well, this feels very flaky. And then we have the shade called Unstoppable. And I'll show you guys them up close. So this one right here called Invincible is a molten metal, and this is called a suede shimmer. So here is the Invincible shade. It's like an intense silvery metallic. Then the Unstoppable shade, which this one definitely feels very smooth, almost like a satin shade, like a satin metallic hybrid. And let's get into the last three shades. So we have Powerful, we have Unbreakable, and the shade Enough. Here's how they look on the finger. Ooh, these are definitely more like muted tones. So the first shade is called Powerful, and it is considered a cushion chrome. This one is definitely more of a black base. This is like a magenta burgundy shade to like a maybe deep kind of cool charcoal purple. And then Unbreakable is considered a suede shimmer, which is to me a satin shade, like more of a smooth satin shimmer. Ooh, that's a beautiful kind of burgundy color. And then the last shade, which is Enough, which is a beautiful like olive shade, which is also considered a suede shimmer. So on that smoother end. So let me back up so you guys can see all of them. What do you guys think? I'm really intrigued by this palette, and I'm loving the different formulas. Let me show you guys these swatches all up close, then we'll get into the look. Let's get into this look. I did prime my eyes with the Kaleidos Tone Activator Primer. I'm gonna go into the suede shimmers because I feel like those ones, when they're more satiny and smooth, work best as more of like a blendy shade, or a shade you would kind of use like a matte if you had one. So I'm going to use that through the crease. And I'm gonna try to be gentle because I know like trying to blend something like this can cause fallout. I don't think we'll have too much because these are more smooth. So I'm gonna go into the shade called Powerful, and I'm gonna use that on the outer corner as a deepening shade because it does have like a darker base to it. This one's not as smooth, so I'm not gonna swish it around like I did with the first shade. I'm just gonna drag it on the outer corner. So I did bring some of the shade down on the outer corner just to connect up with the top, the Unbreakable, and then went over it with the deeper Powerful shade. So the rest of the under eye, I'm gonna go into this strong shade. This time I'm going to wet the brush to avoid some of the shimmer fallout. I don't know why I didn't do that with the other two shades, but now I'm doing it. So I'm just going to pack that on down here. And get like a really intense blue moment down here. Now, so I'm gonna go into the shade called Healed, which is considered a silk press shifter. It is a little bit on the flaky side. I just really like this tone of purple. Picks up pretty good on a brush. I'm gonna wet it, and then I'm going to put it right here. Oh yeah, it's such a beautiful purple. And it has like that pink kind of shift to it. Now I'm gonna go into Fierce, this fiery shade, which is considered one of the whipped powder shifters. Spray it. I don't know if this is gonna be a little darker, but I'm gonna top something over it too. Wow, it looks so red on the eyes. But in the pan, it looks more orangey. I'm just gonna put that right there. Now let's get into the shade called Radiant. This is one of the Heavenly Halos. And this one's like a peachy gold pinky goodness. And I'm gonna spray it. It's gonna add a lot of brightness in the inner portion. Oh, yes. And I'm gonna kind of fuse it into that fiery reddish shade as well. Now, because I just want to see how this center shade will look kind of topped in the inner portion, this one I'm going to use my finger because it's one of those really flaky shades that are really hard to pick up with a brush. So I'm just going to tap it over. This is the centered shade, and it's the Chromed Flake formula. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how intense that made it. So I do want to take a little bit of Resilient and use that a little bit on the bottom, just in the front portion of the lower lash line. That's just going to add a little bit more brightness. Go with that vivid blue that's down there. And I just want to have a little bit of brightness. I like it to be a little brighter in the inner portion on the lower lash line. By the way, Resilient is a Heavenly Halo. And then I'm going to use Protected, this shade right here that's also a Heavenly Halo. And I'm going to use that in the inner portion. Kind of sweep it up too. Yes. Kind of go like that. Let's use a little bit of Invincible, which is the Molten Metal. This one's very, very chunky monkey. I'm just wanting to get it in a really small space. Normally these kind of shades I would use with my finger, but I just want it to make the very inner portion, super bright. Like, look at that. I'm gonna use Protect It too on the cheeks, since it says it's also a face palette. So we'll just try to put it on the cheeks like a shifty highlighter. Oh yeah, that looks pretty. All right, loves, I am back. I did not do much off camera. I just added lashes because the sparkle and the magic on the eyes is enough. So all I did was went in with this gloss because I wanted to keep it, you know, with that sheeny vibe. So this is the NYX This Is Milky Gloss and Ube Milkshake. Beautiful little cool tone shade. And then for my waterline, I use the LA Girl Shockwave Neon Liner and Electric. It matches this blue down here perfectly. I use the Kiss So Wispy number 11 lashes and the Kiss Lash Glue Liner to put the lashes on. And that is it for this very sparkly, extra shimmery goodness. I'll just show you guys up close so you guys can see like how the different textures look. So yeah, that's everything for this look. I actually really love how this came out and the intensity of that blue down here. Oh, this is so pretty. Hi, my loves. Hopefully the lighting is okay, but I'm actually about to take off my makeup and I figured I'd insert like a clip, like film showing you guys how the shadows look right now. I'm actually doing this video in 2 different days, so I actually have a chance to show you guys how they are doing. But I'll show you guys up close. Look at these shadows. They're so pretty. And I've had them on for about 5 hours now. I started filming at 5, like putting the makeup on, and it's a little after 10. So I've had a good amount of time to like see the wear of the shadows. I feel like 5 hours is pretty good. And there's no creasing, there's no fading. They're still super intense. I do have a little bit of like shimmer specks on my cheeks, but I do also have one of the shadows as a highlighter and they're really sparkly, but it's very minimum. And that's pretty good because I didn't use a glitter primer, and I've used shadows that are like this that have had way more fallout than this. But honestly, you could avoid that by just, you know, doing your eye makeup first, or maybe using a glitter primer that would probably reduce it even more with the shimmer fallout. But I think these look pretty dang good. So I just wanted to show you guys that. But now we can get back to regular schedule programming. Hey guys, yes, I look very different. I have a totally different look on. And that is because I decided to switch up this video. Now I didn't actually film this look because if I did, this video would be so long. But I just wanted to show you guys my shadow, what I did for this. So here is the look. Very simple. I just did like a graphic liner shape with the Glisten and Fairy Freak palette, and then I went all over the lid with a glitter primer this time just to see how they would go over. This palette is already jacked up from doing so many swatches, but I put Fierce all over the lid. Then I used Evolving as a inner corner highlight, and I used a little bit of Radiant on the brow bone, and it's also the highlighter I have on. Now I've actually had this on for almost 8 hours. I put this look on around 12 and now it is 7:56. It's almost 8. So I did a pretty good wear test on this one too, but I'm not having any like intense creasing. I didn't have any fading. I don't have any spots that are gone. And the shimmer fallout has been very, very minimum. I think I have a few teeny little specks here and there, but it could also be from the highlighter that I have on. So we're gonna get into these comparisons. I was in this room for a while going through all of my single shadows, going through like shimmer palettes or palettes that I felt like had a lot of shimmers that are similar to this palette, so I could like compare as much as possible. So there's like glitter and shimmer everywhere, but I just wanted to show you this next to the Lightwork 4 palette. They're actually very different. I don't think anything is similar between the two, and I only have this other one, but here it is. So 4 and 5. So I'll show you guys up close. I even swatched some that might be similar and they weren't. The shifts were totally different. How they looked swatched out was totally different. And you see in the middle row on 4, there's the cake liners and those thick, sticky, flaky chromes. So yeah, they're quite different, and you get more shade options in here with the split pans in the middle, and the formulas aren't the same. This one has more like these kind of diamond shadows that don't really have a shift to them, And then they also have those more black-based multi-chromes that are really buttery and smooth. And I was actually able to find a lot of singles that compared to this one. It was actually quite easy since a lot of brands do those black-based multi-chromes, but I actually had a harder time finding shades for this one. Now I did find ones that were pretty close, but not exact. Everything either had like a slightly different undertone, a slightly different shift, but I found as much as I could. I was able to get 11 singles in my collection that match up. So as you guys are seeing the swatches, I'll go over it. So the shade called Glow from Clionadh was very similar to the Resilient shade. The Clionadh shade called Glisten had a lot of similarities to the shade called Protect It. And the Clionadh shade called Muro had some similarities to Evolving, but this one has more of like a goldeny orange shift to it and some pink, so it wasn't exact. I don't think Evolving really has much of a shift going on. And then the shade called Lucidum from Clionadh was very similar to Brave. It has that strong green shift going on. And then I tried to compare the Kiln shade from Clionadh to the Fierce shade, and they're not exactly the same. I feel like the Fierce shade was a different tone. The Kiln one has more of a kind of maroon burgundy color to it, and the Fierce one was more like red to orange, but they have similar shifts to that like red, orange, and green shift to them. And then the shade from Oden's Eye called Maha, or is it Maja? Not totally sure, but that one was very similar to Fearless, with that orange and peachy goldiness going on. And then the shade called Vermilion from Clionadh was very similar to Love. It has that like rosy pink shade going on. And then the only purple I could find in my collection that somewhat came close to Healed was the shade from Clionadh called Flash Glass. It is more of like a pinky purple, but I do feel like the Healed shade is a little bit of a darker tone, but they were somewhat close. And then the Clionadh shade called Verte had similarities to Abundant. Not exact, because the Verte shade has more of like a bluey purple shift going on. And then the shade from Oden's Eye called Samuel was very close to Invincible. They're both very intense metallic silver. And then the last shade is from Oden's Eye called Noah. And I felt like that was pretty close to Enough. They're not totally the same. I feel like Enough maybe leans a little bit more olive, and Noah leans a little bit more on the forest green side. So those were the singles that I was able to somewhat match up to the palette. But like I keep emphasizing, I could not find exact dupes in my collection, and I was able to find exact dupes for some of the shades in the 4 palette. So I do feel like this palette is unique and brings something new to my collection. The shades aren't too repetitive. I don't have so many dupes for it, so I'm happy about that because that means I didn't waste my money. I also feel like there's just so many cool different formulas in here to work with. You have those like flaky shades, you have some of those more sheer like topper shades that are really sparkly, then you have some that are like really pigmented to the base that are just so bright and vibrant, and then you even have some satiny shades that you can use more like a matte in case you just want to use all shimmers. You can kind of manipulate them to work in the crease or deepen out the outer corner, which is the suede shades. And so I think overall it's worth the $125, and I think that this would be a great palette for any of you who don't have a lot of special shades in your collection, that you've been wanting to try shifty, sparkly, multi-chrome shades like this and just get it all in one palette. I do feel like then it would be worth it for you. But if you're like a person who has a lot of these kind of formulas in your collection, you have a big singles collection, you have a huge indie collection that has a lot of these kind of formulas in it, then maybe this might become too repetitive for your collection, or you might not have a need for this palette. So at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you and the consumer to decide whether this is something worth picking up or not. Because if $125 just seems a lot for a palette, then no matter what's in it, you're always going to not think it was worth it because it's too expensive in your mind, or maybe it's not in your budget, or you just don't use things like this, then it won't be worth it. But if you do love it and you want more things like this, or you want to try things like this, I think you won't be disappointed with this palette. So I'm very happy I picked it up. I enjoy playing with it. I love how my looks came out, and I just had so much fun putting this video for you guys together. But you guys will now have to let me know, what are your thoughts in the comments below? Did you purchase? Did you pass? Like, how do you feel about these shadows? Is this the kind of things you like to work with or not? I would love to hear from all of y'all. And if you're new here and you enjoy this video, you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, you like a lot on indie makeup and all that good stuff, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I'll have the palette linked. I'll also put all of the like single shadows that I featured today in the description. I will also link the video that I did on the Lightwork 4, as well as like other swatch party and single videos that I have done. And I will have my makeup link, foundation, all that good stuff in case you're curious. And I also have my social media platforms linked. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_Beauty. So if you want to join my Instagram fam, I would really, really love that. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for being here, supporting me, being amazing. I just appreciate you guys all so much, and I just hope all of you are doing well wherever you are in the world, and just sending you guys so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.